what is the cadence of releases for these games anymore? Like, when are we having a fall release of a Pokemon game again? 26?
Yeah.
And like, because now here's my question. So let's say at the earliest, Legends ZA comes out in April. Are you telling me we're not getting our next Pokemon game until November of 26?
That's what scares me.
That seems, it just seems, based on...
Unless there's another game coming out by Bandai Namco, or another game coming out by Ilka.
Yeah.
That is possible.
It could be Rodeo.
It could be Rodeo. Yeah.
Rodeo. I like us saying Rodeo.
Rodeo.
I think
it sounds a little elevated.
It's Los Angeles. It's Rodeo Drive.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay, John Africa, I want to shout out. He says, I really didn't like Jake at the beginning, but he's grown on me. You're
no way.
That's big, dude.
Dude, shout out to John Africa. Yeah, appreciate it.
I've been trying to win over John Africa for weeks.
Actually, here's the thing. I think I told you this one time, and you probably forgot it because it was maybe mean. But I didn't like you when I first saw you on Game Explain. I thought you were full of crap. I thought every one of your opinions, I was mostly the Pokemon ones I was watching. I was like, this guy's making it up. He doesn't believe this. I literally thought you don't even have the context. You were talking about Let's Go, and I was like, and wasn't a gatekeeper thing. I mean, maybe it was, but it was mostly like, I was just like, you weren't pulling on the things that I was familiar with, so it felt like it just felt like an uninformed opinion, right? But then I kept watching. And I think everything changed once you introduced the titillation meter.
Yes.
I was at the beach on the back porch.
Yes.
And I said, oh, the titillation meter. I said, this guy's a performer. I said, I love this. Right? Literally. Yeah. And then I remember reaching out to you, and then we talked on the pod, and I was like, I'm a big fan.
Oh.
Yeah,
wow.
It changed.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. That's not rude, is it? I'm just trying to be transparent.
No, I don't care. That's fine.
First impressions are weird.
I didn't like me when I was working at Game Explain.
I might have also been just judging Game Explain without knowing who you were. I might have just been like, who are these people? I don't know who these people are.
I was playing to a crowd of like under 11-year-olds. I was, I was just trying to put on a show. I don't know.
But shout out to you, John Africa, dude. I hope you speak for the masses.
That's right, baby. You got a super chat in there, Dusty.
Yeah, super chat by Jason Bornot. Appreciate you, man. I just don't see it coming after April. That is what's weird. It's like they announced it, and we've discussed this before, but like they announced it in February. Why? Like, what is the point of that? Unless it's going to release soon. But why would it release soon? Because we don't even have a second trailer. And I think we always come back to, they were trying to impress. They have no game, and they're trying to just basically save face to the fans to be like, you're getting nothing this year, but just chill because we're working on this. Or it's that same sentiment, but for stakeholders, for shareholders, right?
Yeah, got to keep it's because it's definitely weird to not have like a Pokemon game coming and be like, yo, is that stock going to start dropping? But then you announce this big game, you get some buzz, then you have your little shareholder meeting, and you're like, hey, don't worry, we know you all like the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch is super popular. Yeah. Scarlet and Violet sold like, oh my God, no, brother. It's like, oh, you guys are making another game for Nintendo Switch? Surely that's going to sell just like the last one. We're happy. So I do think there is an expectation that for the business, you do have to put that idea in people's minds. But now I'm less concerned about why ZA has been like, why it's been so long since we've heard about it and when it will come out. And I'm more just like curious about what their long-term plans are in terms of a release cadence. Yeah. Because I like this weird thing that I think is happening with Pokemon, and maybe it's coincidence, is like, I feel like they're going to release 3 games within 12 months. And then we're just not going to hear from them again for like a weird, like, why aren't they spaced out more meaningful? You know what I mean? I think that like something weird is going on. Maybe
could it just be the Switch too? Could it really just be the fact that like their hands were tied and they had a plan and they were told that they have to change it no matter what?
I think there was a point where that seemed legitimate, and now, given what we know about ZA, given that we can pretty much lock in that this is just a Switch 1 game, which I think makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the leaks indicate. I do think that like now what does it matter?
Yeah.
Now what does it matter when the Switch 2 comes out? This is just, I don't know. Like no, my one thing is that maybe Nintendo is over there going, we need a big Switch 1 game for after when the Switch 2 comes out to prove that we are still serving those customers.
Yeah.
This is something Nintendo always does. They have a few first party games. The Nintendo Switch comes out, Metroid Prime Samus Returns comes out on 3DS, Pokemon Ultra Sun comes out on 3DS.
I remember that.
They still serve the huge audience of people that are there. They tell them it's not just a clean break.
That's
you can
respectful. I like that.
Yeah, you don't have to buy a Switch 2 on day one.
Yeah.
You can wait for the holidays. You can wait for next year, whatever.
Sure. So the moms aren't being surprised when their kid says, I need a new Switch because there's no new games. She's like, I just bought you this.
Yes. And so maybe there is a relationship here with Nintendo where they say, we really want to position Legends ZA as one of our big, there's still games coming to Nintendo Switch. Look at this is the best looking Pokemon game you idiots have ever had. It's like, I think that makes sense. And I also think good strategy.
Yeah. Okay.
See, then you say that to me and I go, oh, it all makes sense now. Now I see what's going on.
We just have to wait to see the vision, every genius is crazy, right? Everyone thinks a genius is crazy until you find out Einstein's theories are correct.
Yeah, right? and I do want to say Nerdy Seb in the chat making the point that it'll probably be backwards compatible and have enhancements. Yeah, the enhancements won't be game changing, but will it load faster? Yeah, probably. Will it run smoother? Will the resolution be higher? I think you can count on all of those things. Yeah. Will it change the game? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah, we got another super chat here by Brandon Crutchfield. Hope you're having a good week, man, and a good weekend. He writes, unless we get ports next November, Dusty, and I think this is in relation to our conversation of what the heck is going to get released. Yeah. And I do think that is always a possibility. I've been screaming about it, but I do feel like it's something that will come eventually, and I feel like they have to fit it in somewhere, right? And we might not know about it. So there could be 4 things in play here. I guess we got Pokemon Legends ZA, right? And then we've got possibly Rodeo, which could be produced by anyone. Well, but maybe produced by Game Freak. We've got a Generation 10 game.
The leak implies that it is at least Project Synapse, which we're assuming is Rodeo has moved into this, is a Game Freak with support from Ilka. Yeah.
So PLZA, Rodeo, Generation 10. We've got Pokemon ports, right? If that is decided to be kind of released all together. But then we have the potential Ilka game, and we also have the potential. What was the point that you made to me offline? I don't know if you did it in this podcast.
Oh, I got it for
about
you.
Bandai Namco. What was that point?
Yeah, so
that's 6 possible games.
Yeah. So 2 important things going on. It was just confirmed today. Everybody thought Mario and Luigi Brothership was being developed by Ilka. We learned today that is not true.
Yes.
So Ilka's working on something else. And
that's great.
So not Mario and Luigi Brothership. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is it came out in the leaks that Bandai, the team that made Pokken Tournament, the team that developed that, same team made new Pokemon Snap. And I think what that says to me is that there is a group at Bandai Namco who has this relationship with the Pokemon company. And I think it's a comfortable and beneficial relationship. And I don't think that relationship ended with new Pokemon Snap. I think that there is another Bandai Namco-led spin-off that will be using Pokemon that will be coming from them in the future. Same team that did Pokken, same team that did new Pokemon Snap. Bandai Namco, really big studio, a lot of cross genre experience. It could be anything.
Dude, I love that so much. We have once I get a soundboard, I'm gonna have a nice comment sound. But this is a nice comment alert by Vice. Vice says, yo, just hopped in. Huge fan of the content and podcast. Also, Jake, you are a creative genius and make simple discussions really entertaining. So I just wanted to shout you out, Vice. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Vice. It's very kind. I appreciate you.
Yeah. And then we're also getting a comment about Jake's Psyduck plushie just chilling at work. It's actually not a plushie. Oh, can you even see it in the layout? No, you can see it.
You can see him. You can see him.
It's there. Yeah.
I'll make him.
Yeah, but I think so. That's 6 possible games in the rotation. Possibly in the work here, and I think maybe only 3 of them are really like imminent. Maybe 2 of them. Yeah, I guess there's 2 of them. There's 2 games, which is ZA and Gen 10, and it's like all those other things just are up in the air. I wonder if Project Rodeo could be worked into, like, some of the concepts from that worked into Generation 10, and then just Rodeo never comes out.
Dude, here's the I don't think so. So here's what we know. There are 3 games that the leaker is like, these are there. We have a lot of data on these, but so far we are not showing the data from these. And it is Generation 10 Gaia.
Yes.
Project Synapse.
Yes, dude, Synapse.
And Legends ZA.
Yeah.
So I think all 3 of these are in some form of active development. And here's my question, dude. Legends ZA is obviously coming first.
Yeah. But when?
Is Synapse next and then Gen 10?
Okay, so that's 2020. That's, let's say, mid-year 2025 is Legends ZA, assuming that's when that is.
Assuming.
Maybe then we get a holiday game, which is Synapse, and that could make sense because it's like maybe they don't have the best release, right? Maybe it isn't the most impressively sold game, but they have 2 games that year, so they're still making their money.
And I think we need to consider that Synapse does not have to line up with traditional when you would release a video game, because at least if it adheres to what we saw in Rodeo, it being on mobile also implies that is not a full $60 game. It is probably a free-to-play game.
Wow.
And so that can come out at any point, and I don't think it will be seen as competing with Gen 10. So you could even have Rodeo come out
the next summer year, 2026.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So I think that's what it is.
But then what are we getting? Like Pokemon Pocket, October 2025? Like we're getting like the sequel to Pokemon Pocket? Like what's going to be in that slot? I'm trying to make a joke. What could be in that slot of 2025? Yeah, fall 2025.
Okay. So I think the important thing to remember is that the Switch 2 is very likely coming out next year, which means that Nintendo has big, heavy-hitting, system-selling games ready to deploy to sell that system during the holiday season, which means you're going to see things like Mario, Kart, Zelda, big franchises ready to get those holiday sales.
Yeah.
So the question is Pokemon one of those, or is Nintendo using something else? Because if Nintendo has big, heavy-hitting games, we might not see a big Pokemon release in that fall. Yeah. We might not see that. Nintendo would opt to publish something else.
I think that we have talked about this, which would explain why ZA comes out earlier in the year, right?
Yeah.
If there's so much stuff going on, and there's almost a part of me that's almost like, you know what? We almost got through a whole year. Like it's October right now without any sort of Pokemon information. We're in the drought. I survived it. This has been something I've been afraid of for 10 years, right? Surviving another Pokemon drought.
Yeah.
And we did it, man. We're almost on the other side. Like, this is not so bad. Right?
It is funny. I like that you bring this up because I think something that comes up a lot is the kind of complaints about the state of Pokemon games, and then like wanting Game Freak to take their time and use more resources. And then I feel like we're feeling that for the first time ever this year.
Yeah.
And the fan base has never been more mad.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing, right? I think maybe
Pokemon the loud fandom. I do think it's like they're different people are complaining about different things for sure.
100%. Yeah. The only point I'm making is that I think some franchises really enjoy having an annual release schedule. Sports games, shooters, and I think that Pokemon fans and a lot of Pokemon players are more in those camps than they're 100%. Willing to admit.
Yeah.
And I think there's a degree
I'm admitting it. I think we're so lucky. I think as a Pokemon fan to be like, listen, I think Pokemon is like a fantasy, right? It's an RPG, but it's a fantasy. It's a fantasy world where there's all this lore and there's history and there's theories and like when I close my eyes, I can be transported there. When I play a sports game, I'm not transported into the stadium of, pick whatever your favorite football team is, right? I mean, listen, some people might do that.
Yeah,
but
some
you can
people
get
are.
that content. You don't need to get. You don't get that. The source of that content is not from the game. The source of, I don't think, the source of World War II, like romanticism isn't, or that that nerdy aspect of history isn't derived from the games. I don't think it is. I think it's derived from like other forms of media. You have movies, you have TV shows, you have whatever, right? YouTube documentaries. But for Pokemon, the source of all of that lore comes from the games. So I think we benefit more than anything else that you're comparing us to by getting yearly releases. Every time we get a new game, there's more things to dig into. There's more theories to make, right? There's more connective tissue to everything. We do have a couple super chats here, but were you going to say something?
I do, yeah, really quick. So the thing that I think you're missing in this comparison is that you are comparing the inner world of the Pokemon games with the inspiration of these other games. So like, yes, they are inspired by the real world, either the historical events or the sports scene, but there is a meta real world in these games that changes every year. Like how they change the mechanics, the the nuances of these what you could call game worlds are very important to these people in the same way that they're very important to Pokemon players.
Okay.
So there is like an active, I understand it's not the same thing because it's like not a world of fiction in a fantasy setting like what you're talking about, but there is, I think, a comparable experience there for people.
No, that makes sense. And I think on that level, Pokemon fans or our games really only change. Maybe it's been different the last 5 years, but our Pokemon games really only change every generation, which is every 3 years, right? So there are differences there.